Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, one of the most interesting moves that Joe Douglas made this offseason was drafting cornerback Qwan'Tez Stiggers from the CFL in the later portion of the draft, right? No college football experience. And according to Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic and Brandon Pockris of Jet X Factor, Stiggers has been making plays, he's been turning heads, he's continuing to impress as voluntary OTAs move along here. Now, of course, it is voluntary OTAs. We are in late May, early June. These practices aren't padded, but I think when it comes to specifically younger players, undrafted free agents, later round picks, if those guys are out there competing with guys that, you know, we all know to be Jets, and they're making plays and making impressions this early in camp, that's a really, really good sign. And specifically, when we talk about the cornerback position, I always look at voluntary OT. Look, tackling is absolutely massive when it comes to corner, right? We all understand that completely. But just because the practice isn't padded doesn't mean, and there's, you know, no contact or anything. To me, cornerbacks, that's one of the prime positions where you can still go out there and shine in voluntary OTAs. And again, according to multiple people, that's exactly what Qwan'Tez Stiggers is doing. And we take a look at what he did back at the CFL, where he won Rookie of the Year in the league. He had 53 tackles, 5 interceptions at 21, 22 years old. I mean, there's a very, very good chance that the Jets drafted somebody who could be seeing the field, you know, in these next couple of seasons. Now, look, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here or anything like that. Again, we haven't even seen a preseason game. We haven't even seen a single practice of training camp. But again, it is a really good sign that we have multiple younger players here impressing and turning heads. And another point that I really, really want to make for Stiggers here, whenever you're talking about a corner, a safety, or even a linebacker coming in from the CFL level, as opposed to, you know, just like a typical college player. And this doesn't, you know, just go for draft picks. This obviously goes for, you know, the free agents that come in from the CFL as well. I think when we're talking about those three positions, but specifically secondary, I would say they're coming in maybe a little bit more battle tested because of just simply the CFL rules. I mean, we can take a look at number one, the field size of the CFL, right? As we all know, NFL field is 100 feet by 53 yards. The CFL field is 110 yards by 65. So it's longer and it's wider. The end zones are a little bit different as well. So you have more range to cover in the back end. Also, think about it. If you're a corner, if you're a safety, although there's, you know, coverages where they're lined up so far back from the line of scrimmage, you have all this movement, all this pre-snap movement from CFL wide receivers and skill positions where you, like, yes, there's pre-snap movement in the NFL, but you got guys at almost full speed right before they're about to break the line of scrimmage. You know, as long as they stay behind that line, it doesn't really matter. They can be at that speed. But, you know, of course, if they cross the line and the ball's not snapped, you know, different story here. But, you know, you have to prepare for all that movement. It's not just you got, you know, the corner and the receiver starting from zero, plays snapped, and then it progresses. No, there's a lot that goes into it, you know, as far as how to cover, body position, the range that each secondary member has, and also just the mental part of it as well, right? Understanding what the CFL offense is trying to do in that given play, in that given week. Another important aspect of the CFL is the limited downs. So in football, you got first, second, third, and fourth. In the CFL, you got first, second, third. So, in other words, when they want to run the ball in early downs, there's a massive emphasis on getting positive yards. Because if not, it's essentially 3rd and 10. So, if they're running the football to your side, and you can't tackle, you cannot tackle an open field, that's a problem. That is a big problem on defense. So, you know, in other words, if you're a CFL defender, you got to be able to wrap up. If not, it's going to be a long day, especially with the wide fields. They can really put guys on islands and target specific, you know, the poor tacklers. We can get the football going in that direction and force him to make a tackle. And if he's not good at it, we're going to be picking up a lot of positive yards and controlling the clock, controlling the ball, controlling the game too. So, you know, with Stiggers coming in with all of that experience, only playing the 1 year there, winning Rookie of the Year, him being 22 years old right now, 5'11", 200 pounds, has good size, good range, obviously good production. I'm not worried about him, not playing college football in the slightest, to be honest with you. I think, how the Jets operate on the defensive side of the football, at least, they really know how to identify talent. Saleh, Ulbrich, it seems, and we've talked about this in a couple of videos, it seems like whoever they pick, whoever lands on this Jets team, either turns into a starter or they get better. Or, in the case of Quentin Williams, has a career year. You can make the case for so many different players. The only player that I just haven't really seen have all that success is Carl Lawson, but injuries have played a big part of that, right? You can make the argument if Lawson never had an injury, his numbers, his Jets career would look a lot better. So I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving the early signs here from Qwan'Tez Stiggers in camp. But there's also been one interesting storyline that I've been kind of monitoring with the cornerback position, right? Gardner's going to be here, one of the best in football. Michael Carter, I would assume, is going to be here at slot corner, although he's playing on an expiring deal. And on top of that, the Jets haven't engaged in extension talks. So hopefully that changes. But DJ Reed is another player, right? Obviously brought in on a 3-year, $33 million deal. So he's on the last year of his contract. But I don't necessarily know if the Jets are going to be bringing him back. Why? Because we have to pay Gardner eventually a ton of money. We got to factor in the Carter extension. How much money are the Jets willing to invest in the cornerback position at this point in time? I'm not too sure. It doesn't really seem like it's a Joe Douglas route. Now, I would love to have DJ Reed back. I love him as a player. One of my favorite players on the defense. Hard-nosed, coming in from Seattle, has bounced around, tried working at multiple positions. Outside corner, slot corner. They felt like slot corner was Saleh felt like the slot cornerback position would be better for DJ Reed. Back in San Francisco, it didn't work out. He ends up in Seattle. Pete Carroll says, no, we're going to put you on the boundary. And all of a sudden he starts doing well. And then Saleh ends up wanting it back, so he gives him that 3-year deal. But in the case that we let him go, could the Jets already have their replacement here in Qwan'Tez Stiggers? Again, I understand it's early. It's voluntary OTAs. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but pretty good sign here. Pretty good sign. And also, too, 5th-round draft pick. So there is belief in the player there. If not, you would not be drafted in the 5th round. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, go Jets.